It's a funny old thing. Some are made of alder, some are made of other things. Sometimes you get a bit of wood that's really light. How do you improve on perfection? Hi, this is David Gilmour, and welcome to my podcast. In June 2019, I will be auctioning more than 120 of my guitars for charity.
This might be the most important collection of rock instruments ever.
After all, in the end, they're tools of the trade. It's a guitar.
And on this podcast, discover the untold stories around three of them.
These are instruments that have served me very well. A lot of them have earned their keep in that they have given me a song. The Black Strat. It's been on most Pink Floyd recordings. It's still the guitar I play more than any other.
This is Three Different Ones, a David Gilmour podcast. Episode 1. Where are we is the first question.
We're in Hove, actually, on the south coast. The sea is beating against the front door.
The other most obvious question is, why have you decided to do this? Why have you decided to sell this cornucopia of instruments?
These are instruments that have served me very well. They've given me music. I've loved them. But now it's time for them to go off and be part of someone else's musical life. I'm hoping they'll inspire music in other people, and selling them will give hopefully a fair bit of cash to a number of charities which are in deep need of that cash in the world we're living in right at this moment.
People act oddly around some of these guitars. Have you noticed that over the years?
I've noticed it just a few minutes ago. I know, I have noticed. It's a funny old thing. They're guitars, they're beautiful. There's some sort of strange magic that can happen with guitars, but after all, in the end, they're tools of the trade.
So we're going to start with the Black Strat. How old is this instrument? And the
Black Strat, talking about tools of the trade, my main tool of the trade for the last God knows how long. I believe it was made in 1969, and I bought it at Manny's in 48th Street, New York, in 1970. And it's been on pretty much, most Pink Floyd recordings from then up into the 80s, when I put it out to pasture for a while. But then I brought it back again, and it's still the guitar I play more than any other.
But yeah, so your gear got stolen in 1970. So can you remember? I mean, for any band, that's a bit of a bereavement.
Yeah, we were in New Orleans, and there was a fantastic live club there in New Orleans. We were there. Our truck, which was a U-Haul, a big U-Haul rented truck, was parked on the street and got stolen. The whole truck just disappeared, all our gear.
Not just the contents, the whole truck.
Yeah, the whole truck, gone. We called the local police, and our gig was, I think, the next night anyway. We were sat around in New Orleans at the great hotel there, looking out over the river, the Mississippi, with a fantastic roof terrace of the swimming pool, and enjoyed ourselves. The police then found the truck and brought it back to us. The only thing missing were 4 guitars, which I think were 2 Strats and 2 basses. But I think it was right. I think it was the last. It was either the last gig of a tour, or there might have been another one in Texas supposed to follow. But we didn't. We cancelled it anyway. That was the end of the tour. Went back to New York and bought this guitar. The police were very helpful, very friendly. we said, should we reward anyone to the police guys for finding this thing? And he said, boy, let your conscience be your guide. I don't know quite what he meant.
Did any of that stuff ever turn up anywhere? Did
The guitars didn't. No, I don't think in those days. I mean, not that long after that. I think we started sort of keeping a record of serial numbers and all that sort of stuff. But in those days, just never quite got there. You know, it wasn't quite the 60s, but it was almost the 60s. You know, and one just didn't really bother. And so I don't know what happened to any of those.
So you got that from Manny's in New York, which is a really famous guitar shop. The image of people that work in guitar shops is sort of slightly looking down the nose at anyone who comes in to sort of deign to take something off the rack. Did you have that experience with that?
Not at Manny's, no. Manny's was fantastic, brilliant shop.
Yeah.
Great. The guy who ran it was called Henry. Not Manny, but he was called Henry. He was a great guy. He was fantastic, friendly. Would troop off to a back room and dig out a guitar and say, try this, and you know, mostly new guitars I think we got from Manny's, but he had the pick of the crop. Have you always been that person in the shop gazing out across the various instruments, unable to stop yourself from getting another one? Quite a bit, yes. No, I mean, in Cambridge when I was a teenager and no way I could afford a Fender of any sort, there was a music shop called Ken Stevens, and I used to spend a lot of time in it. It was a miniature shop. It was one of those ones where it was only half the width of a usual shop front. So it's probably only 7 or 8 foot wide, but there were guitars all the way down both sides. And there was a Stratocaster hanging in there for years, which we sometimes persuaded the guy in the shop to let us touch and play a tune or two on, but I couldn't ever afford it. Actually, when you're in a music shop, when you're testing out a guitar, what do you play? Because people will go into guitar shops and test guitars by playing your stuff. What do you play? Well, I haven't been into a guitar shop to buy a guitar for quite a while. It's not the way it works anymore. So, how does it work now then? My people talk to their people, and the guitars come, and you play them, and you put them back in the box and send away on another one. You know. Or you know, there's all sorts of, you know, there are places in England where they have a range of beautiful old guitars that you can go and see and play and buy. One, there's an acoustic place I'm going to go to quite soon, with a bit of luck, in Kent. So with the Black Strat, the first Floyd material that it appeared on is Medal. Was this the first record? I would guess that's right. Yeah. Because Medal kind of being, I don't know, the template for the Floyd that would come after that point. So this guitar comes in, and at the same time, did it feel like that? I didn't feel like that guitar had created that change. No, but that would be being a little sparing with the truth. It became my main guitar, the one I used pretty much on everything, unless there was a reason to want a different sound. But so that's on, definitely on Medal. It's on Dark Side of the Moon. It's solo on Comfortably Numb. what the 4 notes at the beginning of Shine On You Crazy Diamond popped out of this very guitar. Just like that. Because it was there and in my hands. I mean, I could waffle on, I suppose. No, I probably couldn't even manage to waffle on, but it was just the guitar. It was my guitar. It was the one I used, and it was a nice one. What can you say? Definitely earned its keep.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's, on the one hand, if you look at the composite bits, it's probably only worth a couple of grand.
Yeah.
But it's got this status which you're now going to, exploit for a good cause.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not, you wouldn't call it a particularly iconic historical instrument, is it? Apart from your association.
It's a 1969 Fender Stratocaster, of which thousands and thousands were made. The actual lump of wood that the body is made out of, which type of wood, because it wasn't always the same. I think some were made of alder, some were made of other things, and sometimes you get a bit of wood that's really light, and sometimes you get a bit of wood that's really heavy. They're all different, and if you pick one up without plugging it in and play it, and it feels and sounds great, then it's going to sound great amplified too. But this one happened to be in the right place at the right time.
And then you retired it. It hung on the wall. Did that, I mean, it's nice that people can see it, but did it grate you a little bit thinking, it's not being played, it's in a Hard Rock Cafe?
Well, I have a duality about it, about my affection for it and my teenage lust to have a Fender Stratocaster, and then having one and then thinking, well, it's a tool of my trade, it's just a guitar, get another one. What's the difference? So I did get the red one, but which has EMG pickups on it, which are battery powered. And it doesn't react to all the gear, the hums and buzzes. Throughout our early times touring, one of the biggest problems is hums and buzzes that the guitar, single coil particularly, that's why humbucker pickups are called humbuckers, because they buck that hum. But single coils, they pick up everything, and you're constantly moving the guitar around 2 inches, pointing it this way, and having to play whole songs pointing at a certain angle, because if you turn it 3 inches this way, this hum would come up, and every time you turn on an effects pedal, that hum is magnified by 20. It's a nightmare. And with all those light rigs and stuff that we toured with, it was a constant battle. Our guys would be there in the daytime setting up the gear, and they would spend hours trying to pinpoint everything that could make a hum or a buzz and get rid of it. But it was a nightmare. And just getting these different electronic pickups just got rid of all that in a second. So it made touring life for them and for me much easier.
Did you ever have that Spinal Tap moment where you sort of picked up a local radio station or something in the gear?
Constantly. Yeah, constantly. And taxis. People saying, asking for a taxi. They'd come straight through the guitar.
Oh, wow, the Floyd are using some really interesting kind of tape loops of local taxi drivers. No, accidental.
Yeah.
It came back for Live 8 in 2005. That show, I mean, I guess it just kind of called to you at that point.
Yes. Take me back, it was saying.
There's also a mythology around a strap that you've used with that guitar in more recently on your last tour. What can you tell me about if the myth is true?
The myth, my lovely wife Polly bought me as a present a Jimi Hendrix strap. You can see him.
Not a Jimi Hendrix strap.
No, the Jimi Hendrix strap that he's playing. A lot of his later shows at the Isle of Wight in 1970, for example, which I helped mix the sound for. But not a lot of people know that.
You helped mix the sound for
Hendrix at the Isle of Wight in 70, from the side of the stage with audio master with Charlie Watkins.
Really?
Yeah, who owned Watkins Electrical Music. Yeah.
What do you remember from that gig?
I went down to go to it, and I was camping in a tent, just being a punter. And I went backstage where our main roadie, Peter Watts, was trying to deal with all the mayhem with Charlie Watkins of Wem. And they were very nervous, and they were going to have to mix Hendrix's sound. And I did some mixing stuff in those days, and they said, "Help! Help!" So I did.
Did you chat to him much? Did you talk a lot?
No.
No?
Not then. No, I had met him previous to that once.
Yeah.
But I didn't know him.
Is it going to be difficult? I know you said it's an object and it's for a brilliant cause. This is your guitar. You're not going to be able to play this guitar again unless you're invited. How does that make you feel?
I'm happy with that. I'm perfectly happy with that. The balance between affection for it, for what it's done, how well it has served, and the fact that it is a tool of my trade that can be replaced. Anything can be replaced. Anyone can be replaced.
This interview's
let's not go there.
That was 3 Different Ones, a David Gilmour podcast. Subscribe now to hear the next episode, and to find out more about the David Gilmour Guitar Auction, check out davidgilmour.com. This has been a Cup and Nuzzle production.